Hey everybody, what is going on? I am Maximus Rex and this is Big Baby Reviews. Today is Wildcard Sunday, so we're looking at something a little bit different, a little bit off the beaten path, and that's why we're looking at Enchanter #1 from Eclipse Comics. This was published in April 1987. So when I go to comic shops, what I like to do is go through the dollar bins, and occasionally there's $2 bins. That kind of sucks, but still, sometimes you can find some really good comics for just $2. That's a pretty good deal, and that is the case with this issue here of Enchanter. What I'll do is I look for stuff to fill, holes in my runs, but occasionally I'll come upon something that I know nothing about, but that looks interesting. So I'll take a chance and purchase it. And I'm glad I did with this issue, really just based on the strength of the cover here, the painted cover, which I think is really pretty cool and interesting, and a little bit offbeat and different. Not quite sure who the artist is because it's not the same artist as the interiors, but we're going to be focusing mostly on the interiors today because there's some interesting aspects to that, and that's what I want to focus on. The cover is great, but we're not going to spend too much time on it. It got me to buy the comic. Now let's look inside and see if the art inside matches the quality of the art on the outside. Let me answer right away. I think the answer is yes. So writers Don Chin, Mike Dringenberg is the artist. They are co-creators here, and letters are by Kurt Hathaway, who, if I'm not mistaken, is possibly the same one who worked for Image Comics in the early 90s. If you know a little bit more about that, please let me know in the comments. So first of all, this is an elf-centric comic, I guess. The story revolves around elves. I've never really been a fan of that type of story, but in this case, like I said, I'm mostly going to be focusing on the strengths of the art in this comic, and really the artist's strength in using light and dark economically in a smart way to move through pages a bit faster, and he's just very adept at it, and in the way that it creates contrast obviously as well, in not just within the art itself but within different scenes within the comic. All right, so not a huge example of that on the first page, kind of just a typical, starting off point for a story. Here's where it gets interesting already, I think, in the layout and the economy of line. There's, I want to say, almost kind of a Jay Lee quality to the art in its economy of the line, right, in the use of the line, where lots of negative space, lots of negative white open space, and just a bit of black to create different layers, and just enough detail to define the figures, right, all the way through. Really clear storytelling. We've got an elf running after what is the legendary jackalope, I believe, which is like a half rabbit, half antelope kind of creature, which obviously works really well in an elf centric world. And like I said, sometimes using line to define, sometimes using silhouette here, the jackalope's head here, and just here, like I said, the white is kind of overpowering, and just small touches of black to create that sense of contrast. And you have to assume from the look of this, it's got to be like a really bright, sunny day, right? And again, the layouts are interesting. It creates a rhythm, easy to follow. You got some fairly realistic anatomy and depictions of this elfin human character. There's something akin sometimes to Frazetta kind of poses and movement, I think. Some just using the flowers close up here in the background as more of a decorative element than anything else. Just interesting choices. This big black splotch here, I don't know exactly what it is, but just design-wise and contrast-wise, it really works. And that's, I guess the whole point was to throw in a few words here, and then just kind of, the artist decided to bring this out as a design element. But each page is just designed and laid out really, really, really well. And there's almost kind of a classic illustration, Prince Valiant kind of vibe to some of it, right? And even here, like in the pure light kind of this white background, you've got these creatures, silhouettes, almost all completely in silhouette, coming towards us, right? So I think that's really clever as well. And the contrast here is just, excellent. Just so economical and well placed, I guess. And all throughout the scene, the balance is just, perfect. You've got obviously way more white, and it's leaning way more towards the white, but look at how little backgrounds are created to give us a sense of where we are. And the light is doing all the work of just constantly reminding us that we're outside, right? Just minimal background details to give us, you know, a field, a tree, a sense that we're outside kind of in the wild, some sort of plains, I guess. And now as we move from this scene to this scene, all of that seems to get inversed. And that's where I think this artist is clever, right? So all of these pages, minimal backgrounds, right? You can get through these pages fairly quickly. The depictions of the background, like here, how clever is that? Just a bunch of scratchy lines. And, you know, that gives us a sense of, you know, plains and mountains and wind and the sun in the background there. And that's just so little, such little line work, so evocative, almost like, you know, old Japanese prints and stuff. But again, if you go through those pages real quick, not a lot of background, right? Very minimal background and just enough. Like just clever little things like cloud here and not even the whole horizon line, just basically the grass where the character is stepping, right? Very minimalist, right? This page has literally no backgrounds, but it doesn't feel like the artist is cheaping out, right? He just gives us enough here and there to remind us of where we are and then close in on the action and not have to draw too many background elements, right? You know, this page, the only background elements is like horizon line, I guess the hint of a mountain or a mound behind there, right? So it's just very clever, very economical, very smart. And then again, this gets inversed. So now we've got tons of black on the pages, right? And again, the way the silhouettes are defining, you know, the environment is just enough so we understand, right? And again, economy of work in line. This page probably was done fairly quickly. And then you get more of that, right? So we get the inverse of, now we're clearly in a dark space with very minimal lighting. So we're getting a lot of silhouettes and stuff and stark, you know, one sourced kind of lighting, or in this case, two sources, one here and one here, right? But very clear, defined, narrow light spaces. Like here, how interesting is that? That like you just get, I guess, the kind of mosaic tile window where some of the light's coming in, right? From the top lighting. And just masterfully done, right? And in a way, you know, he's smart. He's avoiding having to draw too many details, too many detailed backgrounds, but we, you know, get a sense, enough of a sense at least of where he is and what's going on. And maybe it's a bit more of a mystery here, but we already get the sense with the lighting from before, some sort of temple, right? Some sort of church maybe. And all of these pages, I'm just amazed at how effective they are, even without any backgrounds, with all this black and just avoiding drawing detailed backgrounds, how quickly he could get through these pages, and they look great, I gotta say. So another example where we go from inside to outside, and, you know, again, everything kind of switches over, right? Black becomes white, white becomes black. The majority of this panel here is white, and every other panel is mostly black, except for this one, right? And all throughout, just again, the reason I wanted to look at this one is how masterfully the light and the dark are you know, used and traded off from scene to scene. We even get a bit of a kind of a grayscale kind of strange effect here. I don't know if that's you know, masked up and then, you know, a bit of spray thrown on there with a toothbrush or something, like a spraying painting technique. That's what it feels like. And again, this works just as well, I think, within the context as the flat black and the flat white. So he's introducing a third kind of mood with the gray here. And we're back to this environment just with that, you know, that small little detail of the kind of church window here, which I think is excellent. And again, just enough all the way through where, you know, here's a, you know, a quick shot giving us a bit more information, you know, so we know where it is, kind of establishing some sort of room in this temple or this church. And it's enough. I think it's enough for the story. And you just get more of it. Like even here, this kind of quick use of the silhouette of the top, not even the whole hut or house, right, that we're seeing here, like just works so well here. And again, how quickly can you get through a page like this? You know, if you're working on a deadline, this is definitely an economical style that works in your favor. And again, very simple, lots of black. in this case, a little more detail and hatching and stuff on that last page to evoke, you know, some more light coming in here. But again, the whole reason I'm looking at this book is how cleverly he uses contrast to create great pages, awesome designs, economical designs that help him get through pages, I would think, fairly quickly. Just a clever style, I think, that works really well graphically. So we're getting some other pages here from different Eclipse Comics stuff. There's definitely, with Eclipse Comics, a few things here and there that I think look pretty interesting that I'd be willing to look at. I think they were a company that, you know, on the whole, put out some pretty different and interesting looking comics. They did Zot as well, so some good stuff from Scott McCloud there. Zot also is another series I think at some point, if they're not too expensive, I should start getting into and having a look at. So there you go, Enchanter #1 from Eclipse Comics. Did you even know about this issue? Have you seen it before? Do you think it looks interesting? Do you know anything about it, or more than I do, that you could kind of clue me in on? Please let me know in the comments. Thank you to all my subscribers who are watching, who are faithful and check out the videos. Those of you who are not subscribed but like the videos and the content I'm putting out, please help me out by subscribing to the channel. It helps us grow and it helps motivate us to put out more content. And that is it for today. Go out and enjoy your Sunday, everybody. Have a great day.
Like, subscribe, like, subscribe.
King Comics presents Big Baby, Volume 1, Issues 1 to 13. 204 pages of story and art. King Comics also presents Star Crasher one-shot, 32 pages. Cosmic sci-fi surrealist adventure. You can find these fine comics at KingComics.CA, at MaximusRex13 on Instagram, or on Facebook, MaxRex or Big Baby.